welcome to this video. As I'm sure some of you are aware, today was the first Rotrender invasion in Tibia. Uh, for those who don't know, Rotrender is the recently announced world boss by Cipsoft, sort of like a Ferumbra's boss. Like every 6 months, you'll have one invasion. If you kill him, well, you get the looties. If you don't, well, tough luck, which is sort of what happened today on the server of Unebra, which is a green SA server, green Battle Eye server, recently opened. I don't believe it has even 1 year yet. Uh, Top levels are around 900, so still fairly low leveled. The server isn't very active, not very populated, and the boss spawned on server save, which is around 6 a.m. Brazilian time. So not many people were around there for the first attempts to kill the boss. They failed. They died, I think, 2 or 3 times on some characters. But we had some samples to check off the live streams. You can check VDA Pedro, which is a popular Brazilian streamer that did a video on it. I can leave the link in the description. There is also our EK Flavio's Twitch stream that he live streamed. So you guys can also check it out. I will leave links for both of those in the description. But we gathered a lot of materials. We studied the mechanics. We came around with some theories for how they would work. And we tried again. However, it was late night. Our theories didn't go as planned. The mechanics were indeed confirmed to work the way they did, but we failed on some execution. Our characters are also just fairly straightforward, just not strong enough to handle doing the boss while trying to figure out what's the best timings and how to work around its absurd damage. So we tried a lot, but we failed. We wasted a lot. People died on their main characters. They became disappointed. They became frustrated, and we had to call it off. But the purpose of this video is to show you guys the mechanics, so that maybe in the recent future, when it shows up on another server, maybe you guys can kill it, get the looties, complete this content that Cipsoft has brought to us. So I just wanted to show briefly some of the most obvious and easier mechanics, and just how the boss looks and what happens around it. So as you can see here, they are about to enter the boss. This is when they first tried to do it during the morning. And as you see, as you enter the room, he is transformed into his Rotrender Hex Horror version. Now, if you watch the Tibia wiki, I believe there were 4 different versions that he had from the scraped files, but we here in Unebra, we only saw 2 forms, which are Rotrender and Rotrender Hex Horror. As we walk into the room, you can see these red portals, and you can see that players enter the room with this sort of like a green shield counter. There is also this green circle counter that will start counting when you step onto the portal. And at some point, you will also see people start to get also a red counter. I believe here he got one, right? So this red counter, you will get it by virtue of simply being inside the room. It will grow. We don't know what's the upper limit for it. We saw some players get to, I believe, 100, but we don't know what's the limit. And what we do know is that the boss will absorb the charges of the players. As for the damage profiles of the boss, he did some pretty hard hitting hits. Here we have our top EK in the server, fully equipped, and he just procced Gift of Life from receiving his beam, right? You can see there, almost, this is max HP, almost 15k HP gone in an instant, right there. So do be ready when you go into this boss. He isn't easy at all. You will see that as soon as the beam hits, it's around 12k damage on the beam, if I can get the right frame. It's maybe a bit later. I don't know, but it was around 12k damage. You can see that the damage profile is right here, mainly physical, a lot of life drain, agony damage. I didn't mention this, but as you're inside the room, you will take 1000 agony damage. Simply existing, there is no way to avoid it, and everyone will receive it. So mages should be off magic shield, otherwise they won't be able to sustain it. It will just break eventually, unless I believe if they're like super high level, maybe it's doable just to keep tanking it, but there is no reason to do so. As well, once we explain his damage mechanics, it will become clear that the shooters aren't in any particular danger. Uh, let's just notice that the life, like the beam that he does here, this what's this? Like a purple smoke beam. It will do life drain damage mostly, and this is what sort of almost kills the EK. As you can see in his analyzer, he's got 38k life drain damage. Then he gets hit by the wave, and he goes to 45, so it did a lot of damage, almost 8k damage on the life drain beam. So that's the spell that you really do want to avoid. However, we discovered a mechanic to tank that beam, so we'll talk about it further, right? So, what we do know is this Rotrender Hexed horror form takes no damage. We tried every single element, we tried rotating the knight's swords, whatever, he wouldn't take damage. So we found out a way to have him swap forms and become the Rotrender version. And we'll show it in a second. It's right here. So if you have someone standing on top of these red portals, they become a green portal and you get this green counter, right? When this counter reaches 10, you will become this sort of avatar storm, and after a short delay, I think it's like 4 or 5 seconds, he will you will explode with this storm and you will damage the boss for 7.5k and he will become Rotrender. This Rotrender version does take damage. The problem is that he will heal all damage taken. As we can see, I believe right here. No, here he's on the Rotrender Hexed form. If we can watch. If I had another clip of him becoming Rotrender and healing. Oh, right here. It's right here. So he's Rotrender Hex Horror. Our EK will explode. He becomes Rotrender, and then as soon as clip is not very good, I should have done a longer clip. But what happens pretty much is once he transforms into this Rotrender, okay, you can damage him, but he just heals all damage taken. So that is still not good, right? But here, what happens is the boss isn't healing. So we found a way to make him not heal and take damage. So pretty much, if you walk Rotrender over a blue portal, which you can make spawn, right here you see the EK has 10 charges, he becomes the Storm avatar. As soon as he leaves the portal becomes a blue portal. And what this blue portal does well, first of all, it removes the charges that the boss has, and the boss will acquire these charges from the red charge mechanic that we mentioned previously. But most importantly, it will remove Rotrender's ability to heal. And when he steps over the portal, you'll have this message: the rift disperses Rotrender's accumulated energy. And when he steps over it, he won't heal. As you can see, here we're attacking Rotrender and he's not healing. He's not healing at all. We hit him for some time, and then he will become Rotrender Hex Horror version again, and then he will heal almost all damage done. I think he heals around 10 to 15k per turn. You see there he healed 10k, 11k, 13k, right? So what you must do is you transform him into Rotrender, walk him over a blue portal, and then uh, he won't heal, and then you need to bring another storm near it and explode, which we confirmed it increased the time that he spent as Rotrender. The thing is, the timing was a bit tricky. We couldn't figure out. The Rotrender form lasted for around 10 seconds, and whenever another avatar, like another storm, would blow up near it, it would go up to like maybe 15 seconds, maybe 14. We weren't sure. We couldn't get the like a perfect timer, or we couldn't get like a perfect chain maybe that he would always be Rotrender. At some point, he would always transform into the Hex Horror form again. That was on pure execution for our part, I believe, because you can do a rotation of people just becoming avatars and exploding near him to prevent him from ever becoming the Hex Horror version again. Problem is, you do really need to be a high level when you do that, and well, we had a level 800 RP get headshot with like 9k earth damage when he stepped near the boss, so it wasn't trivial to do at all. So perhaps the best way to do it is to have him transform into his Hex Horror version for a couple turns. He doesn't heal for that much, it's like 13k, that's probably one turn of SDs on the boss per turn, right? So you do want him to transform back to Rotrender, but if you miss a turn or two, it won't be the end of the world, right? Another mechanic we found was here, right at the entrance. It has to do with the green shield counter that appears on the players. So first of all, the way that it's attributed is, from what we could see, it was random. So the EK, you can see he enters with 2 charges, then a bunch of people enter. Oops, that was too fast. Watch it again. So the EK enters, he has 0 charges actually, then he gets 2. Then people come in with no charges, and then they get, for example, this guy gets 1, this guy is on 1 as well. No more charges gained, no more charges gained. Then they go off screen, and we can see that some people gained charges. Like this guy right here, he gained 3 charges. This guy that previously was on 0, he got 1. So at some point after you enter, you get this green shield charge. And we don't know why people have more of it, why people have less. Maybe it has to do with the order of entry. Maybe it's just completely random. We do not know. What we do know is that if the boss hits you with his life drain beam, so that purple smoke beam right here, it diminishes 1 charge of the green shield, and you do not take the life drain beam damage, which is very important because that was the beam that was killing people left and right. It's what made our EK proc Gift of Life. Here you see it. He did the the beam. It reduced 1 charge of our EK, and he did not get any more life drain damage. So the life drain damage is confirmed to be from the beam. Alright, now how do you regain these charges? Here you see how we do it. You step onto the portal, you become the avatar, and after you become the avatar, you regain 1 charge. So it's important for the EKs. Maybe we need to have EKs swapping to have them constantly have the charge uptick. Maybe the mages need to be paying attention. If they have 1 shield charge, already get another one. It's complicated. It's complicated because the boss does a lot of damage around him as well. So just getting near him is very deadly. So that introduced a complication layer inside of it. So here is the gray sparks wave that I mentioned earlier. You can see boss is at 126 stacks. This player here is 15 stacks. This player here is 12 stacks. and when they get hit by the gray, sorry, sparks wave, they lose 10 charges, exactly 10 charges per player. What we notice is that you cannot, well, it removes 10 charges at once. So, for example, if you are at 8 charges, you won't lose any charges. And let's say if you are at 18 charges, you will be left with 8 charges, and the boss will gain 10 charges. We couldn't get the boss to go over 200 charges because from what we noticed, he was hitting a lot more once he transformed. Here you can see our EK's HP going down. He wasn't even getting hit by the beam, and he was dying. So this proved not feasible. Just to like, if we were to keep making him gain more charges, our EK would just die. So that's, oh, and here you can see like the damage that it does around him. Right there, our RP got headshot. Right here, he comes next to the EK, and the boss will explode. He does 9k earth damage to him. Right, that's one of the top RPs on our server, and he just got headshot like that. So yeah, it's a pretty wild boss, and from what we noticed, you shouldn't get his charges up, which was one of the theories that we wanted to test. Right. So what conclusion did we end up making? You need to walk the Rotrender form over the blue portal so he does not heal. Then the complexity that you have is that at some point he will transform back into Hex Horror and he will heal. So we had a proposed strategy where, let's do some very scuffed drawings. You have the portal distribution sort of like this, right? You have one more here, one more here. I believe it's 8, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then one in the middle. And you will have the entry portal here. So the proposed strategy that I and Flavio, our EK, came up with was that as soon as the EK enters the boss, let's bring up uh, EK real fast. Blood Knight, a traditional figure of the Tibian community. You can be our EK. So the EK would come, he would go to a portal with the boss, he would step onto the portal, he would bring the boss. Where's our friend the Rotrender? My guy just killed my whole team. Let us put him over here. Good boy. So the EK will bring the boss to one of the portals. He will become the storm, the avatar. He will blow up, and then the portal will be blue, right? The portal will become blue. Ideally, his makes the boss walk over the portal, and then he's on his killable form while he's not healing. The problem, however, is that he would transform back, right? So we need a paladin to help us. Let's find, I don't know, a dryad. You can be our paladin, dryad. There we go. We need a paladin right here to be perfectly honest. This is what we couldn't get right. I believe he should be at 9 charges of the green TP. And I will explain what I mean by this. Is that on the green TP you will start to get charges as you're stepping onto it. You see right here, I will go and I will step on top of the portal, and I will be getting these green charges, right? You have this on a 1, it's hard to see, right? But as I leave the green portal, I will still remain on 2 charges. You see, I hit the boss, I go back, and when I step onto the portal, the counter starts from 2, right? So I can sort of save those charges, so I can transform faster maybe, or just to like get the timing right from the transform, and I will explain what I mean by that. So pretty much we can't miss on time when he's transformed on the Rotrender and he's taking damage, right? We just are we can't get the boss, or we shouldn't get the boss, to transform into his Hex Horror form, or he will heal back up. So we need to have an RP on 9 stacks here. Once the knight makes him walk over the blue portal, this RP, he will go mid this guy on the midpoint, right? He will explode on top of the Rotrender, and that will make the time that he's transformed as Rotrender increase. We don't know for how long yet. That's the timing parts that we couldn't get to figure out. However, now this portal will be blue, and the knight needs to walk Rotrender over the portal, so he keeps him from healing himself, right? Problem is, an individual player has an individual cooldown on the portals, so he can't just go to the next portal and transform into an avatar again and then make him blue, because he will have a cooldown. We don't know how long this cooldown is. It looked like it was about 30 seconds, maybe it could be longer. So the strat that we came up with was just to add a couple more paladins. So this guy would be here as well, and this guy would be here as well, and they would be on 9 stacks as well, right? And whenever this guy is done with this portal, he would then go and go to this portal, right? And wait for his cooldown to reset. Then, when our EK is on top of this portal, he will be coming here, and this RP will meet him here and blow up again as the avatar. As he blows up again on the avatar, I mean, you get the idea, right? This becomes blue, and the time that he spends as Rotrender is increased, and then this paladin, he will go over here. Same will happen here, right? This paladin will end up going here, as the EK will reach this spot. So you get the idea, right? The EK is just going through the outside circles, uh, make him the boss walk over the blue portals, and then the paladins need to keep switching, so they have the cooldowns to step on the portals, right? And then this rotation would repeat in that the RP that's here would end up going here, RP that's here goes here, RP that's here goes here, right? You get the idea. Same rotation then would start over again right here. This guy would go here, this guy would go here, this guy would go here, right? You get the idea. We did have a little bit of a problem in that this is very hard to time to do properly. Also, they don't need to be RPs, by the way. It's just that it was sort of our server limitation that we only had one EK that was capable of tanking the boss, and we didn't have that many high level knights around, so we made use of our paladins. It's also helpful that the paladins have a lot of they can tank the boss on mana shield, and they don't need EDs to just specifically heal them, so our druids could focus on the knight, right? Which was already a problem, because healing the knight was hard because the room was doing 1k agony damage to everybody, so sometimes the druids would end up missing heal turns, which was probably due to a lack of coordination, right? Because the way that we planned it was that we would have sorry, let me just get this clutter away. We would have the mages stand around here, right? We have the shooters and everybody just stacking here, so pretty much all that we would need is just a couple of designated druids to be casting mass res, and they would be hitting everybody, right? But I don't know. Maybe just people just couldn't do it. It was chaos. One of our RPs ended up dying when he got close to the boss, so our rotation was broken, and well, morale was low, and everything kind of went to shit, if you will allow me. But that was the plan. We also had another, well, sort of like safety net, in that When the EK is doing this, he's walking the boss around the portals. His green shield stacks. They will end up going down, and he at some point will reach zero, right? So we had one backup EK waiting. Where is my cool fella Black Knight? Right here. We would have another EK on standby near the portal so that if our EK is dying and he needs the reset for the green shield, then this EK would step onto the. Sorry, he would swap with the current EK. Where is my brush here? He would swap with the EK. The EK that has no shield, he would come here and he would step onto the portal, become the avatar, and reset his charges, right? And then we would be able to just keep making the swap over and over again with two knights, so no knight was in danger of dying. Problem is, this was just a conjecture because we just couldn't get the base rotation going, so it didn't end up coming to fruition, but it was a part considered in our plans. Um, what else do I have to say? I think this is pretty much where we ended at. We ended up failing because one RP died, then some mages ended up dying to the beam because they would run out of charges when they didn't notice the green shield charges. And then we had a lack of druids healing the knight, and the knight ended up dying as well. So it was a failed attempt, and morale was low. People had died a lot already, and we just didn't go back for another try. But I believe that the theory was solid for this rotation. Maybe it could be kept neater or tidier, I guess, if you could just make it work on the upper quadrant on these three circles instead of just completing the whole rotation, because then some EDs do end up needing to move a lot to seal the knight. So maybe it is doable just on some portals, but that remains to be tested by you guys on another servers. And well, that was pretty much it. Shout outs to Flavio, our EK, which I will leave the link to his YouTube and his Twitch down in the description. That helped me Furycraft a lot, and well, just went through this process of dying together with us. He ended up dying, I believe, 4 times total on his EK, who is the top EK in the server, so he ended up losing a lot. But well, it was worth a try. It was fun. It was exciting, and well, I hope you guys can also have fun with this new piece of content that Sipsoft gave us.